Additional factors have emerged in this series which make the task even more difficult. Flyers scoring machine Tim Kerr has been hindered by a knee injury and can no longer be counted on. Stalwart goalie Pelle Lindbergh has finally cooled off, having allowed 4 goals in just over 1 period in Game 3. And the best player in hockey has gotten white hot, torching the Flyers for 4 goals over the last 2 games. Saturday, in Game 3 of the final series, Gretzky set the tone for the game with an amazing offensive show in the first period. The great one tallied a pure hat trick as the Oilers' offense lit up the hometown crowd, seemingly able to score at will. Lindbergh's inability to stop shots caused Flyer coach Mike Keenan to twice remove him from Game 3, giving Pelle a rare seat on the bench and some unfamiliar razzing from the Oiler fans. But rather than concede the game, the stubborn Flyers rallied on goals by Markau and Brian Propp to close within a goal. But any Philadelphia hopes of tying the game took a tumble when Rick Tocchet got tangled up with less than a minute to play. His face typified the Flyers' feeling as the first of 3 chances to win in Edmonton was squandered. The chase for the Stanley Cup continues tonight as the Philadelphia Flyers again try to solve the lock the Edmonton Oilers hold on home ice. We're at the current home of the Stanley Cup, the Northlands Coliseum, getting set for Game 4 of the Stanley Cup Championship, next on USA. 4 of the 1985 Stanley Cup Championship. What's amazing and unnatural about these natural surroundings? Well, the fact that I'm only a stone's throw away from a city of 500,000, Edmonton, Alberta. They are rowdy and ready to go for tonight's game because their Edmonton Oilers, for the 3rd straight year, have reached the Stanley Cup Championship and are knocking on the door of engraving their name on Lord Stanley's Cup once again. If you've been with us for the first 3 games, you know that the games in Philadelphia were defensive contests. But these loud fans in Edmonton, not naturally loud, but they certainly were the other night, have cheered their Edmonton Oilers on to a 2-1 lead in this series. Injuries, a big problem for Philadelphia. For more on that, I send you upstairs to Al Albert with Gary Green and Mike Liu.
And with all their injuries, the Flyers were able to survive a tough series against the Quebec Nordiques. Then Saturday, here in game number 3, they staged a furious comeback against the Oilers. But the question, how long can they plug the dam? Gary and Mike?
Well, the Flyers are missing 54 goal scorer tonight, Tim Kerr. Mike, can the goaltending make the difference?
Can make the difference if Pelle Lindbergh can play unaffected by Game 3. It wasn't his fault. They say it's his best improvement this year is to be able to bounce back from a game like that. Let's see if he can do it.
The Edmonton Oilers just 2 wins away from the Stanley Cup with the next 2 games here on their home ice in Edmonton, where they have not lost in the playoffs. And the Edmonton Oilers say right now, coming into tonight's game, that they can taste it.
Al, 180 miles from here, the snow in the Canadian Rockies is melting bit by bit. The resulting water is supplying the flow to the North Saskatchewan River. And still all this, and I'm only 5 minutes from the Northlands Coliseum. I'll be there for the face-off in just a few minutes. And so we welcome you to Game 4 of the 1985 Stanley Cup Championship, live on USA Sports in just a moment.
And Philadelphia came back in the second half, certainly delivering a message in the end.
Well, I think as far as the fans' point of view, that Game 3 here on Saturday night was probably the most interesting, definitely the most exciting of the 3 games so far. I don't know what to expect tonight. These Oilers are all geared up. They would like to win this Stanley Cup right here in Edmonton, and in order to do that, well, they have to win each and every game that is left right here in their building. So tonight, a very key game for both clubs.
Well, Philadelphia tried to get off to the fast start in game number 3. And were beaten twice by Wayne Gretzky inside a minute and a half. What do you think they'll try in game number 4 off the opening face-off?
Well, there's no use trying to necessarily lay back and cover Wayne Gretzky. They have to be aggressive. They have to be swarming all over the Edmonton Oilers early in the game and set the momentum, set the pace as to what they want to do. They have to be aggressive if they're going to win. That's how they won the 1 game that they have won so far in this series.
Well, Edmonton lost the first game in Philadelphia, then won the second game. Now Philadelphia lost the first game at Edmonton. They say all they have to do is win this second game in Edmonton and to turn it around again. The crowd is going wild. before the start of this one. This is an uncharacteristic Edmonton crowd. Generally very sophisticated, laid back, but right now they are sensing perhaps the kill. If the Edmonton Oilers can win this, they'll take a 3-game to 1 advantage going into Thursday's game. And now Paul Loriot steps on the ice, and he will have the singing of the Star-Spangled Banner and Old Canada. Start. He played the last 12 games of the regular season for the Oilers.